started to make like our footprint on, the industry and in heavy music, and people really started to like become aware of who we were. It was like that's when a little bit of the buzz kind of started. We made our active rock radio chart debut, and we started being spun a lot on Sirius XM,
Mhm.
on Octane Metal, and a lot of magazines started kind of picking up on our band and all of that. So I feel like during that time, like that's when we really kind of started to come into our own. But then with Unstable, it was kind of a continuation, and we were able to do things even bigger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys definitely did. I mean, the singles you guys released even before the record came out, I know you guys got on my radar at the end of last year, I think, thanks to Sirius XM, actually, with Octane and Liquid Metal, like you just talked about. And
Nice.
I mean, when those songs came out, it was just like you guys took it to another level. But one song that really, I guess the video that I love was You Never Listen. The video for that song, I'm like a fan of abandoned buildings and houses. I do photography and that stuff. Talk to me. Talk to me about the house and the building you shot that video in, because it looks like you guys did that in an abandoned house.
We did. It was like an abandoned kind of like, like a small house, almost like a trailer. It was
Okay.
in South Georgia. So we did it. We were home. We're from Atlanta, and we were home for the
Right.
holidays. But we decided to shoot a couple of videos there because it was during the lockdown, and everything here in LA was like a lot harder to get situated with,
Yeah.
the restrictions. It was a little easier in Georgia, so we decided to go ahead and shoot there. And it was in somewhere in South Georgia. It was like an abandoned house. I guess it used to be in use. It wasn't anymore. And the production company we used, like one of the guys that worked there, he actually owned this, like his family owned this whole trailer park that this house was on. Uh,
Nice.
so we got to shoot there. Yeah, it was super cool, and definitely fit what we were going for.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, the videos you guys put out are freaking awesome. But
Thank you.
musically, guitar wise, I I sense a lot of like corn influence for some reason. You got the kind of like freak, like corn freak guitar in some of these songs. Talk a little bit about putting the guitar work together for these songs and what that was like for you guys. Does the music come first and then the lyrics first and then music? I mean, just talk a little bit about putting these songs together with that style.
So definitely for us, the music generally comes first. For us, we don't like to box ourselves in and like
Sure.
become one type of thing. So like we know Josh and I know that we can like riff our asses off. We can like riff with the best of them. When we started our band, we were like a straight thrash band, so we know how to riff. But we
Right.
also love those big, big hooks, and like I love adding like those corn esque
Yeah.
skin crawling leads that make you feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
little spooky and stuff like that. So we just kind of wanted to always want to kind of meld all of that together and make our own thing, whether we even, being able to have songs that might remind you of like something from the new metal age that's drop tuned and has those creepy guitars, but also then has like a shreddy guitar solo. We want to be able to do stuff like that. Whereas, in the early 2000s, you never really saw both of those together. So for us, we just kind of approach it from like doing what we feel the song, what fits the song best, and then, adding our own flair to it from there.
Right, right. And I mean, speaking of like the that era and whatnot, but did you guys get a chance to play any of these songs live? But I mean, were these songs written and done before COVID? Did you get a chance to do any of them live? Was the record out on schedule? Was it supposed to come out last year? Everything in our industry got knocked off last year completely, it seems like. So I mean, what was the timeline like compared to what it was originally supposed to be?
So the album was done in February of 2020, and we were planning on releasing it in summer 2020.
Okay.
Uh, but obviously that didn't happen. But we're kind of glad that it didn't happen because it gave us some time to really like structure the release, put time into the singles, get it, like get as much out of each single, as much promotion and anticipation from the out, for the album as possible. So it ended up kind of being a good thing for us. We haven't still played any of these new songs live. So it'll be the first time in June, which will be cool. They sound really good in the practice room. So we're looking we're looking forward to that. But yeah, it definitely wasn't on the schedule that we had, originally planned, but it ended up being working out better for us.
Yeah, because when I listen to these songs from like the very beginning to the very end, like I don't even have to close my eyes to picture. I just picture like the pit at a giant festival, like download, just fucking erupting and just everybody just pounding into each other and just like you said, it's almost a good thing that if the album's coming out now, because now everybody's got like a year and a half of just pent up, just like we're ready to go. So when people get into that pit, when you guys rip into these songs, God, I want to be at that first show so bad to see what that is like, because it's going to be fucking awesome.
It's gonna be sick, and that's why we kind of held off on doing like live streams or anything like that, because we're like, man, if we can structure this right, we'll try to get this album out no more than a couple months before we can hit the stage, and by then all these kids will be, just they'll appreciate shows so much, and they're gonna go crazy. So that it looks like we planned it out right, and I think it's gonna be a blast.
You have a couple shows coming up. You're doing some DWP shows, which is like so freaking cool, because it seems like Danny Wimmer presents like almost like controls like the touring industry in rock and metal now. Like they're such a dominant force. But you're doing some shows with Seven Dust and Chevelle coming up over the summer. I mean, talk about starting the summer off right, man. That's gonna be oh man, Seven Dust is such a good live band. Like I'm so excited that you guys.
Oh yeah, they're great.
That.
Yeah, they're great, and they're fellow Atlanta band. We're from our same city, so it'll be cool to play those. But yeah, that I thought that was a really good way for us to kick off shows again for ourselves. Like a good couple big DWP shows that Tetrarch wouldn't do it any other way. So
right, but you personally have a relationship with ESP Guitars. You're one of their artists. Can you talk a little bit about what that relationship has been like for you? And you have there's a Diamond Rowe shirt you can buy on the Tetrarch website as well. Like you have your own shirt too, which that's got to be freaking sick.
Yeah, so like with ESP, like I, obviously like a lot of people, I first heard of ESP when I was a kid. My favorite band's Metallica, so
right.
I got my first Kirk Hammett signature LTD when I was like 12 or 13 years old. So that was obviously my first time hearing about ESP when I used to watch, them and live DVDs and all of that. And then about, let's say in 2017, I acquired a couple of Eclipses in between, then and now, or then and when we signed. But when we were on tour with Devil Driver in 2017, that's when Josh and I officially became ESP artists. And they've been great to us ever since. They treat us really well. Like anything we need before a tour or, during a tour, whatever, Tony, our rep, gets us taken care of. Nice. It's amazing to, when you're a kid, you just can't believe people get free guitars, and now we only get free guitars. So it's just, it's a very, it's one of those things that's so like small and silly, but it's like, when you're young, you dream of that kind of stuff. Right. So it's very cool. Very, very cool. And yeah, as far as like the diamond shirt, that's cool as well. We've always wanted to kind of bring back the idea of like guitar heroes, like modern guitar heroes. You had like your, Dimebag and Slash and, all, Kirk Hammett and Dave Mustaine. You had all these like great guitar players that like people would come to shows and they want to see the guitar player too, as well as like the singer or the rest of the band, like Zakk Wylde, like they're kind of have a lot of personality about them. And, naturally it seems as though like I'm kind of being thrust into that role myself. And I'm totally stoked about it, because those are the guitar players that influenced me coming up. So it's really cool.
Is it weird having like you're in a band, and a band is a team and a family, but you have that spotlight on you too, and not a lot of bands like have that anymore. Like you said, like there's like that, there's that spotlight, like the eyes are on you as well. Like that's interesting. Is there like a friendly rivalry between you and Josh on like, because you're both the guitar players as well?
No, not at all. He like honestly, I'm usually trying to fade into the back, and he's like, "No, get up there, go play, go do a solo, make it longer." Like he's always like kind of pushing me to do more. So like he's actually been part of me coming out of my shell over the years because for a long time I was like, I just want to play guitar, but like
Right?
I was naturally kind of falling into that role, and I'm glad that I've embraced it at this point, but it took a minute.
Right? Oh, that's so freaking awesome. And that's one thing a lot of people don't really think about, going back to like, your rep gets you everything you need before you go on tour. Packing for tour, it can be stressful. So like having somebody that can like take care of like what you need either while you're packing for tour or on tour, like that's a lot of stress kind of off your shoulders right there. Like trying to like go hunt this stuff down and like make sure you have all of it. Like I need this, help me get it. That's one thing a lot of bands don't necessarily think about a lot.
Yeah, no, and I mean, just like all our companies, EVH, ESP, Ernie Ball, even our drummers, excuse me,
Mhm.
Vic Firth and D Drum and everything. It's just like before we leave, it's great. Like we no longer have to take like these like daunting trips to Guitar Center and like try to like buy and find everything. It's just like we let them know what we need, and it shows up at our door the next day, and we have our crew pack it for us. So it's
Oh man.
definitely like the perks of years and years and years of
Uh-huh.
DIY. We definitely, I think we deserve it a little bit. We definitely paid our dues. So.
You've earned it, that's for fucking sure.
I think
Um,
so.
Man, one song that really stands out to me, honestly, is "Trust Me." It is not like anything else on this record. It's a really interesting choice of a closer, too. By the way,
Mhm.
is that you? Is that your vocals? Are you doing the vocals on that?
No, it's really funny because so many people have asked me, like I do vocals on Take a Look Inside and on You Never Listen, but so many people have asked me if I'm on Trust Me, and I'm not. That's just Josh.
What?
So I don't know. If maybe he sounds like a girl in some parts on it. I don't know. But a lot
Wow!
of it's just, but you're not the only person to ask me that. So many people have asked
Wow!
that same question. So that's not me this time.
Wow! I'm glad I'm not the only one. Now I feel bad. Like,
No, don't feel bad at all. No, definitely no. There's been a lot since the record came out. A lot of people have asked that.
man, the song is just so different. It's slower. It's just so it's different in every sense of that word. I mean, can you talk a little bit about where that song came from, and did you want to slow it down a little bit for a song on this record? Did that just like organically come out?
Uh, it kind of organically happened. That song took so many different forms when it was coming
Right.
together. At first, it literally was like sounded like Marilyn Manson's Coma White, and
Ooh,
then it changed from
ooh,
that. Josh like scrapped that, and it went to a song that kind of sounded very, very like almost like Deftonesy, and then
okay.
we kind of scrapped that, and then finally we just had like the bass, and we had like a couple of the parts of it that were really cool. So we didn't want to completely get rid of the song, but
Right.
it wasn't a song. So we sent it to this guy named Zach and had him put some electronics on it because we wanted to hear what it sounded like if we just kind of made it just kind of weird and like
Yeah.
vibey. And when he
Yeah.
sent it back, it sounded really, really cool. And we were like, okay, we can do something with this. So that's when we like came up with the bridge and like the guitar solo and all of that. But it was definitely a work in progress for months. Like we
Wow.
scrapped many different versions of it.
Yeah, I would love to hear that song sound like "Come Away." That's one of my favorite Manson songs, right? I
It's
mean,
a great song. It's
oh,
an amazing song for sure.
yes, yes. Then I got to tell you, Diamond, this has been awesome. I will tell you, I introduced my wife to the band. Well, not personally, but to the music. We drove from northern Indiana to Illinois on Saturday, and we listened. I made her listen to the record all the way through the entire drive. So
Thank you.
there and back. She loves it, man. One of my favorite records of the year so far. Unstable is out now. You guys fucking kicked it out of the park on this one. I hope I get to see you guys live on one of the major festivals this year. Fingers crossed. Hoping if not on tour. Is it fun? It's got to be fun. Like thinking about like touring this year. Like touring is actually like looking like it might be a thing. So
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. Like we're confirming some now and just confirmed some yesterday. So the fall is going to be looking pretty good, and it's pretty crazy thinking about getting back on the road and on stage. But of course, for us, our gears instantly shift to, oh shit, we haven't played a show in like a year and a half. We should probably like, go see if we remember how to do it.
Right. Make sure you
So,
remember how to play the songs and stuff, you know. So
exactly. But other than that, it's really exciting. We're stoked.
right. I will tell you, if you get to Indiana at all, I am coming. I have twins on the way. I don't care. I'm coming to the show.
Oh, congrats.
They will be hearing lots of Tetrarch during nap time. It's happening. So got to start them young, man. Got to start
That's
them young. So,
amazing. That's amazing.
man, Diamond, thank you so much for taking time today. Again, great record. Love every minute of it. So good. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate it.